Hi, so I'm Roni from the MSCCBU, and I'm here to tell you about pre-reg posters. So pre-reg posters are conference posters that present planned scientific projects rather than completed ones. And in the next 10 minutes or so, I'll take you through the background for this idea of pre-reg posters. Then I'll talk about some of the theoretical advantages and where we place them within the context of pre-registration and open science. Then I'll show you some evidence from a survey of the popularity and advantages of these posters. And then finally, I'll discuss some future considerations for conferences and delegates that want to adopt this format. So the background for this was when Rick and I thought about submitting an abstract to one of the major cognitive neuroscience conferences. And I finished data collection maybe just a week before the submission deadline. And the problem was that the guidelines for abstract submission strictly said that abstract should include results and discussion. And after looking at guidelines for several major conferences, we realized that this is a common issue. So typically conferences rule says that the abstract must describe a completed work. And yet the deadline for abstract submission is often several months before the conference itself. And therefore, by the time the work is presented at the conference, it is either published already, at least as a preprint, in which case it is not really news anymore. And there is only little room left for feedback. Or it could be, in some cases, that the posters have changed quite a lot from those described in the abstract. And this is because the authors might have been rushed to submit their abstract. As a result, the relationship between the study as it is described in the conference program and the results themselves look a lot like this. So in this paper from 2018, we described this problem and offer several solutions. And one of these solutions was to allow a format of posters, which we call pre-reg posters. And this presents planned work before data had been collected, or at least before it was analyzed. And this format has several advantages. So one of the main ones is the ability to get feedback from conference delegates who are often experts in the area. And this feedback will allow you to improve your design, modify the hypothesis, and optimize the analysis, or can even, in some cases, help you decide that at a very early stage that the study might not worth the trouble and therefore save you a lot of headache and money in the future. It also allows you to get potential collaborators. So those would be people who showed their interest in the conference and can contribute to the project further. And it can also help you publicize the precedents of your idea, which will appear in the conference program and can be later developed into a full pre-registration of the study. So overall, pre-reg posters can really improve credibility and rigor in science. And to explain how they fit with other similar suggestions, I want to take a step back for a moment and discuss those. So basically, we see pre-reg posters as a step that you can take prior to formal registration of your project. So the idea is that you will present your pre-reg poster in a conference or sometimes even in several conferences and get feedback on your methods, adjust your predictions, and so on. Next, you can submit the study as a registered report in a journal, or pre-register your study on a platform like OSF. These methods, as we all know, prevent common biases such as hypothesizing after the results are known and p-hacking, and they also provide a really great way to help you think about your study a bit more carefully. And then the next step would be data collection and analysis. Now, importantly, registered reports are locked in a sense that the researchers commit to the protocol listed in the report, and any changes or additional analysis are then defined as exploratory. Pre-registration can be either locked or unlocked, depending on the website that you use or the platform. On the other hand, one of the key features of pre-reg reports is, pre-reg posters is that they're not locked. So the idea is not that you commit yourself to what is presented in the poster, but that this will be your opportunity to get some constructive feedback and to improve your study which can later lead to locked registration of the protocol. So Prereg posters were allowed in the BNA Festival of Neuroscience in Dublin last year. And we are really happy to see that 100 posters out of about 500 adopted this new format. And we did a survey both before and after the conference. And this survey was ran by Anne Cook and Kimberly Browse, that you can see here from the BNA. And you can see all the questions and data here on this OSF website. And we published a paper that summarizes these results of the survey, and I want to take you through some of the highlights of these results. So first of all, there was no evidence that pre-reg posters received any less visits or less feedback or were found less interesting by other delegates compared to other posters. The presenters of pre-reg posters felt like they got constructive feedback, which is really important because this is the main purpose of these posters. And as expected, most feedback focused on methods and design. Second, more than 60% of submitters of pre-reg posters indicated that one reason they chose this poster format was to gain experience and confidence with pre-registration and with registered reports. Many of them also indicated that they intend to pre-register the studies they presented at the conference later on. And then finally, there was some suggestion in the data that this format was more common for early career researchers. So this might be because young researchers are more keen to adopt new initiatives, but it also might be because they often need to have a proof that an abstract was accepted in order to get funding for a conference. And therefore, the ability to present planned work might give young researchers more opportunities to attend conferences and to benefit from them. So this format is being adopted by a growing number of conferences. We know already of about 10 of them, and you can see the full list here. And we think that now, when most conferences are held virtually, there might be even more opportunities to adopt this idea, since there are basically no space limitations. So lastly, I want to go through some tips for conference organizers who consider this format for the conferences and for conference delegates who are thinking of presenting pre-reg posters. So for organizers, it's really important that you inform the reviewers of the abstracts about the principles of pre-reg posters. Otherwise, they might be ranked lower compared to other posters just because they don't have any data or results. It is also important to highlight in the program and on the posters themselves which ones are pre-reg posters. And one idea that was popular at BNA was the use of open science badges. And it is also very helpful if these posters can be submitted nearer to the conference time as late-breaking submissions. So the delegates don't have to wait too long between abstract submission and the initiation of data collection. And there are some more great tips for organizers by the BNA that are available here. Finally, for delegates, try to think before the conference what kind of feedback you'd like to get so that you can ask for this directly while preparing your poster. And in general, be proactive, identify potential collaborations, ask for feedback, and also comment on other people's posters and so on. And of course, after presenting your pre-reg posters, don't forget to share your wonderful experience on social media. So with this, I want to finish with a huge thanks to these people here who helped bring this idea to life and to show that it actually works quite well. And with this slogan that came up in one of our Twitter discussions on pre-reg posters, that discussing science is not only discussing results. And thank you all for listening.